He merely noticed an extremely thin metal wire on the shoulder of the agent who was about to arrest him, and that single detail helped crack a transnational case worth over $100 million.
You know what this is? No idea. It's a security fiber for the new Canadian $100 bill.
The man's name is Neal. He was a high-risk inmate serving a 4-year prison sentence. Yet with only 3 months left before his release, he suddenly chose to escape. He first shaved off the beard he had kept for years, then slicked his hair straight back and pulled out a guard's uniform hidden inside the toilet tank. Disguised, he walked out of the restroom and confidently strolled past the prison guards. The inmates who witnessed this were filled with envy. In the brief moment he brushed past a guard, Neal smoothly lifted the access card from the guard's body. He swiped it, opened the door. Freedom was just one step away. Fortunately, the newly assigned guard wasn't familiar with his co-workers. And just like that, Neal walked straight out of prison. He then targeted a maintenance vehicle in the parking lot. After starting it, he even put on some soul music. He drove the stolen vehicle into the airport parking lot, creating the illusion that he was about to leave the country by plane. In reality, he bought a yellow work uniform and waited. Only when a Rolls-Royce pulled up to the terminal did he step forward, pretending to be a valet. The owner instinctively assumed he was airport staff.
Take good care, we'll be back in a month. Thanks, sir.
Neal not only pocketed a $100 tip, he also scored a luxury car for an entire month. Meanwhile, outside a bank vault, federal agent Burke, who had once arrested Neal, ran into trouble. A group of thieves had stolen the cash from the safety deposit boxes and conveniently changed the vault's access code. With the help of a professional locksmith, the new code was cracked, 324. Just as Burke was about to open the vault, something suddenly clicked.
Wait!
An explosion followed, destroying all the evidence. The thieves had deliberately changed the vault code, 324, which corresponds to FBI on a phone keypad, a direct mockery of federal agents. Burke picked up the metal wire that had been blown onto him and asked all the top graduates present. No one knew what it was.
How many of you went to Harvard? Don't raise your hands, don't.
As Burke fumed over the destroyed evidence, his assistant delivered another piece of bad news.
Neal Caffrey escaped.
It had taken Burke 5 full years to put Neal, a master art forger, behind bars, and now he had escaped so easily. Since Burke knew Neal better than anyone, the commander handed the case back to him. At the prison, Burke noticed Neal carving marks into the wall, one for each day served, clearly counting down to his release. Yet Neal escaped neither early nor late, but precisely when he was only 3 months from freedom. Something must have gone wrong. Burke immediately checked Neal's visitation records. They showed that Neal's girlfriend visited every week, except for the most recent one. The surveillance footage had no audio. Burke could only rely on lip reading.
Adios, Neal. It's been real.
That farewell made Burke realize Neal's escape had everything to do with his girlfriend Kate, and Burke knew where she lived. Sure enough, he found Neal there, sitting on the floor, staring blankly at an empty bottle.
Did leave you a message in that?
The bottle is the message.
Burke's suspicion was confirmed. Neal had indeed escaped for his girlfriend, but he was too late. Kate was gone. This escape added 4 more years to Neal's sentence. But he didn't care. Kate was his entire world. As Neal was about to be arrested by Burke for the second time, he noticed a metal wire on Burke's shoulder. A criminal genius skilled in art forgery instantly recognized it. He immediately struck a deal with Burke, explaining it was a security fiber from the new Canadian $100 bill, on the condition that Burke visit him in prison. At first, Burke didn't take it seriously, but his assistant soon confirmed it.
Caffrey was right. That stuff from the bank vault, security fibers for the new Canadian 100.
The case escalated into an international investigation. Burke showed up at the prison, just as Neal had predicted. Neal said he knew the Dutchman who changed the vault code and could help solve the case, if Burke would bail him out as an FBI special consultant. Burke refused. He knew Neal was far too clever.
Sorry, Neal. Nice try.
Neal was locked up again, staring at the growing tally marks on the wall, realizing he would waste another 4 years of his life there, while worry over Kate's disappearance consumed him. Back home, Burke hesitated before telling his wife about Neal. He believed someone as brilliant as Neal wouldn't risk escape solely for a woman. There had to be another motive. Then his wife asked the fatal question.
If you were Neal, you wouldn't have run for me?
Burke answered yes. Only then did he realize Neal might truly have had no other motive. He bailed Neal out, fitted him with an electronic ankle monitor, and warned him never to look for Kate.
This is a temporary situation. Help me catch a Dutchman. We can make it permanent.
Due to limited funds, Neal was placed in a rundown motel. Even the front desk had cockroaches crawling everywhere.
Do I have this thing? Cowboy up. It costs $700 a month to house you on the inside. So that's what it costs here. For the money, this is as good as it gets. You find something better, take it.
Neal had no intention of living like he was still in prison. Burke warned him the ankle monitor had a 2-kilometer range. Go beyond it and the alarm would trigger. But Burke clearly underestimated Neal. Neal immediately went to a nearby thrift store where a wealthy woman was donating clothes. Sensing her refined demeanor, Neal struck up a conversation. He learned the clothes belonged to her late husband. Neal instantly turned on his charm, good looks, intelligence, and emotional insight. In no time, the woman was delighted. She gave him all the clothes and invited him to stay at her home.
You live nearby?
Not far.
The next day, Burke went to the motel and found only a note. Following the address led him to a standalone mansion, something he could never afford in his lifetime. Just as he was about to double-check the address, the woman stopped him.
He's upstairs.
Burke was stunned by the luxury inside. Meanwhile, Neal sat like the homeowner, reading the paper and sipping coffee. Neal explained he merely washed her car and entertained her granddaughter to earn a free guest room. Burke mocked him. That's nanny work. At that moment, the granddaughter walked over.
Granddaughter?
She's an art student.
Burke was both jealous and envious. Neal had obtained in half a day what Burke could never have in a lifetime. So he immediately ordered Neal to go change his clothes, while he himself sat at the table, getting a brief taste of life among the elite.
Perfect. Even the freaking coffee is perfect.
Burke praised the coffee while reminding the family Neal was a felon, only to be shut down.
So was Byron.
When Neal reappeared in a high-end suit, it left Burke staring wide-eyed. He looked Neal up and down, carefully sizing up this handsome and dashing convicted felon, and in the end could only urge him, reluctantly, to hurry and get going. Sure enough, jealousy can really bring out the worst in people.
Grapes. What was that? Look, you tell me which rule I broke, and I will thumb it back to prison myself.
For starters, I work hard. I do my job well, and I don't have a $10 million view of Manhattan that I share with a 22-year-old art student while we sip espresso.
Why not?
Burke was left speechless and could only label it irresponsibility.
This is what gets you into trouble. This is the start of those something-for-nothing schemes that lead to the frauds that got you locked up.
I think it's some sort of Italian.
Get in the car.
Soon, the two arrived at the airport, where an assistant informed them of a notice from customs. At immigration, officers had seized several large suitcases belonging to a Dutch man, all of them filled with copies of Snow White fairy tale books published in 1944. Even more strangely, during his previous 3 entries, he had brought in the same thing, several boxes of Snow White. Burke examined the books for a long time, but found nothing suspicious, so he immediately went to question the Dutch man. Since there was no evidence proving he was guilty, Burke failed to get any useful information. He was then forced to back off when a lawyer suddenly arrived. Just as Burke was complaining to the customs officer about how quickly the lawyer had shown up, he was told that no lawyer had called to make an appointment, meaning the lawyer was an imposter. When they rushed to the lounge as fast as possible, the Dutch man had already been registered as dead.
I need paramedics in here now. Nobody frisked the lawyer. Gah!
The more this unfolded, the clearer it became that there was something wrong with those books, and only Neal could solve the mystery. He discovered that the title pages of the fairy tale books were all made of special Spanish parchment from 1944, which is no longer produced today. 3 batches of books could yield about 600 sheets of this special paper, which was almost certainly meant to be used to forge some kind of artwork. Later, they found a business card in the deceased man's wallet. The day before he went to Spain to buy the books, he had visited an archive. The curator said he remembered the man well. He had come several times, always to look at the same Spanish war bond from World War II. Burke took out a blank sheet cut from the fairy tale book, and it fit perfectly. This proved that the Dutch man intended to forge this out-of-print bond. Coincidentally, the bond had also been issued in 1944. Over the years, it had almost never been redeemed, because legend had it that the entire batch was buried in wartime ruins. Only one was believed to still exist.
Except it's a forgery.
No, this has been here since 1952.
It's been here less than a week.
The curator thought this was complete nonsense, but Neal immediately presented evidence. The bond was forged almost perfectly, except for one fatal flaw, the ink. They could clearly smell the scent of Arabic gum that hadn't fully dried yet. Technical analysis later confirmed that the ink had been printed within the past week. The bond carried an annual interest rate of 9%. After all these years, a bond with a face value of $1,000 was now worth $250,000. 600 of them would be worth more than $150 million in total. What they couldn't understand was why the Dutch man had swapped the fake bonds into the archive. Neal immediately revealed the truth.
What if he claimed he found boxes of the original bonds?
Dragged them out of those caves in Spain.
Yeah, how would they be authenticated?
They'd be taken to the archives and compared to the original.
Which he's already switched out with one of his own copies.
So of course they're gonna match. Oh, this is good. This is really good.
Now, as long as they could find out who was printing the bonds, they could uncover the mastermind behind the Dutch man. When Neal returned to the wealthy woman's home, he suddenly discovered that a stranger had broken in. Just as he cautiously turned on the light, he realized it was his old friend, Mozzie. This friend always appeared and disappeared like magic, and there was nothing he couldn't handle. Neal immediately showed him the electronic ankle monitor on his leg, but Mozzie admitted he was powerless. This latest model couldn't be removed without triggering an alarm. When asked about his girlfriend Kate's whereabouts, Mozzie could only say regretfully that she seemed to have vanished without a trace, but he promised to help look for her. After chatting for a while, Neal remembered the bonds. After examining the special craftsmanship, Mozzie promised to get results by the next day at the latest. Early the next morning, Burke received an alert. The location of Neal's ankle monitor had deviated from its permitted range. Realizing something was wrong, Burke was just about to head out to arrest him when he discovered Neal chatting and laughing with his wife.
Agent Burke, you still there?
Caffrey is with me.
You sure?
Yeah.
Burke never expected his own home to be broken into. Even his dog had been won over by Neal. Just as he was about to lose his temper, Neal calmly said he was there to share some good news. He knew who was forging the bonds. Because forged works can't be openly signed, many master forgers share a common flaw. For example, Curtis Hagen. He specialized in art restoration and was extremely arrogant, often leaving the initial CH hidden somewhere in his work. Neal admitted that the forged pieces confiscated from him were also signed. Burke simply hadn't noticed. And as it happened, Hagen was currently restoring murals in a church. The two immediately decided to go there to verify it.
Meet me in the car. I'm gonna say goodbye to my wife now.
It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you after all these years.
When they arrived at the church, they indeed found the letters CH hidden within the mural patterns, this time blended into the design even more subtly. With a name identified, things became much easier. Unfortunately, the assistants soon discovered that Hagen had booked a flight to Spain. There was only 1 week left before he left the country. If they failed to catch him, Neal would be sent back to prison to serve the remaining 4 years. Just then, Mozzie brought good news. He had located Hagen's printing factory. To avoid exposing himself, the non-smoker disguised himself as a heavy smoker to pass along the information.
You don't smoke. What was I supposed to do, fire off a flare?
So you tear off the filter.
Yeah, but I'm hardcore.
Neal tore open the half-smoked cigarette filter and found a note hidden inside with the factory's exact location. The two immediately went to the site. Guards were stationed at both the front and back entrances, and the roar of printing machines could be clearly heard inside. This was almost certainly Hagen's base. However, Burke didn't rush in. Instead, he returned to the office and tossed Neal a thick book of search regulations. Without direct evidence, they couldn't legally break in. That was no problem for a genius like Neal. He memorized the entire book overnight, then glanced at the ankle monitor on his leg. A plan had already formed in his mind. On his way out, he even borrowed the wealthy woman's Bentley. Before long, Burke's phone rang again. The police station reported that Neal had once again exceeded his permitted range.
What's going on?
He ran.
At that moment, Neal was driving the Bentley, pretending to be a tourist, and snapping photos outside the factory. The guards immediately surrounded him, confiscated his camera, and escorted him straight inside. Seeing piles of snow-white books on the floor and the frantically spinning printing presses, Neal was relieved. His gamble had paid off. The guards locked him in an office, but Neal made sure they couldn't easily get rid of him. With one careless move, he locked the door from the inside. The bulletproof glass prevented anyone from breaking in, forcing them to search for another key. Neal, meanwhile, remained perfectly calm and casually revealed his electronic ankle monitor. Soon after, sirens echoed outside.
Gentlemen, we have a fugitive hiding in this building. Knock down those doors.
As heavily armed police stormed in, everyone on site was taken into custody. Burke looked like a man basking in spring sunshine.
This is what the law calls an exigent circumstance. Any of you Harvard grads know what that is? Huh? No hands? Diana?
Exigent circumstance allows us to pursue a suspect onto private property without obtaining a warrant.
And to seize any and all evidence that has been discovered in plain view, regardless of the connection to the original crime.
The bonds being printed in bulk were already proof of their guilt. Burke was grinning from ear to ear. Neal hadn't been idle either. He found the genuine bond that had been swapped out of the archive in the office safe, perfectly completing the chain of evidence.
You know, this makes me 3-0.
Maybe I'm not trying hard enough.
With the international case successfully solved, Burke honored their agreement and issued Neal an FBI consultant license. With this legal status, Neal temporarily went from a convicted felon to a civil servant, though he would have to work as a consultant under Burke's supervision for 4 years. However, what Neal cared about most was still the whereabouts of his girlfriend, Kate. That's it for this episode. See you next time.